With Walt Goodfield, who represents not only our consulting reseller channel, but also is a member of the ITA board. And it's always a pleasure to be here with you. I'm Jeannie Whitehouse. I'm the president of the ITA, that's the Information Technology Alliance. And we're here today to talk about what's going on with our member community in terms of technology and how they're applying it, both for their own use and for their clients. So just a little bit about who we are at the ITA, and Walt knows all of this. Walt, how long have you been a member of the ITA?
RKL has been a member for probably 15 to 20 years. I've been attending ITA as both a member at RKL, but also for a brief time when I was at Sage. So I've been off and on for 25 plus years.
You don't look old enough, Walt. I don't believe it.
Okay. Software sales keeps me young.
Yes, that's right. Okay. The mission of the ITA is to provide a collaborative environment, and that we take that very seriously. All of our events are about collaboration, including how we prepare and deliver the content and what we do at the events. We bring together leading consulting and accounting technology folks, and we want to help them share information and build relationships. And the ultimate goal there is to significantly enhance the way that they do business and that they're able to help their clients do business. It's a lofty goal, and it's one that I think we've taken a great deal of pride in over the years. And this is our membership breakdown. We have the group that Walt is representing, the CR members. Those are consulting resellers. Those are people who are leading implementers of basically mid-market ERP accounting software and beyond. We also have a group of the CIOs of the top 50 CPA firms. Those are our ITL members, internal technology leaders. Then we have client accounting and advisory service leaders in the top 100 CPA firms across the US. And then we have a category of consultants to the profession. These are service providers who support our other members. And all of those are supported by our technology partner community. And these are product companies who are members as well. So we don't have trade shows or expos or any of that stuff. Instead, we invite those product creators to be in the room and to share their insights and perspectives with the other member categories. Again, here's another screen with that. And Walt is representing the CR community in his present role. He's been in some of the other seats in prior lives, as have I. I was a part of what is now the technology partner category as well, and also at Sage. I don't think we were there at the same time, though, Walt.
No.
So let's talk about you. And the first thing you got to tell me is, what is a chief business officer? I've never heard of CBO. What is that?
Thanks, Jeannie, for having me today. It's a pleasure being on live. Chief business officer is a fancy way of saying I manage everything revenue related here at RKL Solutions. So the new sales strategy, the customer in life strategy, customer retention, customer satisfaction, referral businesses, and strategic alliances. So it's a fancy way of saying when my team does a great job, they share in the success. And when we miss our numbers, it's my fault.
That's a lot under one umbrella. How many people are part of your team?
Yeah, so I'm going to look at the firm in general. We have over 600 employees at RKL as a firm. We have 4 legal entities. eSolutions is one of the entities as a reseller for Sage software nationally. We have about 120 employees at RKL eSolutions. And on my specific sales and marketing team for RKL eSolutions, there are 27 members.
Wow.
Yep.
A lot of people to manage.
It is.
So give us a little bit about your history and how you ended up where you are today. What's your path to that spot?
Yeah, it's interesting. My background is accounting. So I'll be careful. I throw that out there loosely. I did graduate with an accounting degree, but I decided not to pursue my CPA at the time. I latched on to a small reseller outside of Cleveland, Ohio, and started doing their books. And when our certified implementers moved on and left, it left us in a tough spot. And I thought, well, I know the software. I use it every day. I'm sure I could train customers and get it set up. And one thing led to another. And after doing that for a couple of years, there was no way I was going to sit in an office doing tax and audit forms. So kind of backed into it, and I've been here ever since.
So, but you had a stint on the publisher side. So how did that happen?
I did. So the partner that I was a member of wrote the manufacturing software for what became Sage 500. So Sage acquired our company in 2002, and I had a 10-year run at Sage in various channel leadership roles, everything from helping with partner development and partner recruitment to actually the director of the North America sales for their mid-market division.
What was that company? Because I was in the same. So I was at Navision, and then ACPAC, and then Sage. We were definitely in the same space. What was the company?
So the products that that my team was responsible were Sage 100 and Sage 500, and then incorporated bringing Sage X3 into the channel in 2008 and 2009.
Yep. Yeah, so I left Sage in 07, and when I left, I was the VP of Product Management for ACPAC before they rebranded, and then I ran the Accountants Network for Sage. So we were and I was in Pleasanton, which was where ACPAC's original headquarters were. Yep. They moved me, Sage moved me from Atlanta out to California.
So we were at the same events in different circles.
We were all doing the same stuff. A lot of folks have been in the Sage community at one time or another from either side. Lots of great stuff happening in the tech space, lots of evolution for all of us, lots of opportunity for people that have an accounting background to leverage those skills in ways that we would have never imagined, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was naturally drawn to the technology. I loved those courses in college, learning about the infrastructure and the databases, and never dreamed that that's where I would land. Always thought that when I graduated, I was going to get my CPA and become a partner at a firm. And I ended up, being a partner in a CPA firm, just in a very non-traditional way, and maybe 30 years later than I thought.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I wanted to be a partner. When I got to partner after 15 years, I realized that I hated it and didn't want to do it anymore. So, you never know how you get out. And I'm
still in the honeymoon phase, so we're loving it right now.
Well, it sounds like you're on the side where you get to leverage the stuff that you care about and work in the space. So it's exciting. And that's the thing about accounting for me. You can always find a way to apply it because every business has accounting involved in it.
Exactly.
So it's a unique opportunity when you have that knowledge, even though we had to pay a price by listening to boring professors all those years.
But it did pay off. I actually just was I've got a freshman in college going through accounting, and I was her tutor for the whole semester. That was unplanned as well, but actually very, very enjoyable. And I felt like every time she got an A that I got an A. So I still remember.
I'm sure. It's very rewarding to see the lights come on for this stuff with people. I do a lot of teaching. So I work with wineries in Napa Valley, which and one of the main roles that I have in my firm is training and outreach. And I'm teaching non-accounting folks like winery salespeople about the numbers. And, they come in just terrified. And by the time they leave, they're looking at financial statements. And it's the best feeling to have them making, reviewing these financials like they're in Harvard MBA almost, except they're, trained by a non-Harvard redneck, but they get there anyway. So, but it's fascinating when you can see those light bulbs come on for people. And I know you see that every day in the work that you do and with your clients. So what are your clients wrestling with? Do you have a focus? Let's talk about the kinds of clients that you work with. Like I'm working with all wineries in my role.
Yeah. So our KLE Solutions is exclusive to the Sage portfolio. So we only sell Sage ERP and complementary products. But because of that diverse portfolio, each product has inherent strengths for industry. We've with one Sage product, we might focus on nonprofit, senior living, and film production studios. But then when we have another Sage product, we might say, well, that one's really geared for repetitive job shop manufacturers, versus a different Sage product, which is geared for mixed mode process discrete manufacturers. So because of that diverse portfolio from Sage, we cover a lot of different industries. And the one good thing is, although all of our eggs are in the Sage basket, we're protected by the diversification of industries. So inherently, when one's up, something's down. And and overall it kind of balances and allows us to kind of remain steady and continue our growth trajectory.
Yeah, that, but I imagine it requires you to have multiple levels of staff to devote to individual product lines, which
We do.
is
Yeah. Our team is not only aligned by product, but then within those products, there's industry expertise that help them obviously share best practices when they're meeting with their NFP clients. They can really take what they've learned, apply some trends, even it narrows down the marketplace partners. So instead of trying to navigate hundreds, there's maybe 3 or 4 that are best practice or better used in a nonprofit environment.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. That one just went away. Oh, so what are the things? So in my industry in Napa Valley, I'm seeing particular kinds of crisis arise. What are you seeing across your clients? Is there a common thing that they're working on now? Because we've seen the COVID thing, the moving to the cloud thing. What's the thing happening now in your client?
I think right now everybody's looking at 2 things: automation and optimization. And I'll kind of go back in reverse. Optimization is just getting the most benefit out of their subscription and their support plans with the publisher, right? Are they upgrading? Are they taking advantage of new features? Are they giving the publisher feedback on mission critical requirements, not just bug fixes and user experience enhancements, but real meaningful development requests? So optimizing what they have is really kind of our role as a partner, helping them maximize their ROI. And then the second is always automation, right? What are we doing manually? How can we automate it? How can we improve that process? How do we take advantage of the tech stack that they have so that they can actually collect and record and analyze and share the data that they need to make good business decisions?
I think that's the common theme that we're seeing. And people have fought the technology upgrade for a while, and now they just can't. They have
Correct.
to upgrade. They have to move. I mean, there's desktop app, especially in an industry like the wine industry, which is relatively small as a market. The technology they have, because there's some old products that go the full depth of all the requirements that they have, from point of sale to national sales accounts to production and manufacturing to farm labor management, all this stuff. They have these old systems that manage all that, but the systems are no longer being developed. They're not supported. They're not open architecture. They can't attach apps and do all the stuff that's going on. And they've finally gotten to the point where they have to pull off of that. And finding a replacement is not easy. Yeah. And there's still way too many separate things to do different things that aren't integrated. The tools aren't integrated. And so they're really desperate for one view across all their applications, which I'm imagine is you're facing too.
It is.
It's really tough.
Yeah, especially I'd say probably the biggest offender is the construction and real estate industry. Apparently, there's only one industry that lacks the technical capacity than CRE, and that's agriculture. So it kind of tells you what we're dealing with, right? But we're starting to see, as you mentioned, we're starting to see momentum in these smaller construction real estate environments. They really need this technology. They need integrated solutions from the estimating to the bidding through the operations to the post-construction support. So they're looking for, one partner, one application that can actually, automate multiple processes, but also collect the data that they need as an organization. So we're getting there slowly but surely. We're starting to see some momentum.
It's, it's always been the challenge. Do I go wide with something that covers sort of everything and not all that great? Or do I go best of breed and get the pieces? And, in the wine industry, because there's so many weird things that have to happen from the regulatory requirements. I mean, we have a custom point of sale solution. We have a custom production management solution, not custom, but a separate best of breed this and best of breed that. And if I want to know what I sold today and what I have left to sell, I can't find it. So that's one of the things our firm, and we don't do implementations. We don't have a CAS practice. We're a small firm focused only on the wine industry. So I spend a lot of time going out and helping them look at what they're doing from a technology perspective and figuring out how to optimize what they have, just like what you're saying.
Right.
But the tools still are so bad in many cases that you can only get so much out.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I've done a lot of shop floor visits and warehouse walkthroughs, but I wouldn't mind doing some site visits on wineries.
Come on down. Quality control, Walt. We call it quality control.
Correct.
We've got to sample the wares to make sure it's not just water in those bottles, right?
I like that.
It's a fun thing to count. You got to count something.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's really frustrating when you come. I mean, you come out of. I came out of Sage in 08, started working here, and went, "Oh, you guys got to have cool tech." And I was looking at it like, "Oh my gosh, we're still doing paper checks and paper invoices in so many places." And much of it is because of limitations of the applications that they have. So I'm going to get us off the big screen because I don't like looking at my face that much. So what about BI and dashboards and insights? Are you doing much of that stuff? Or is that integrated in the applications, or what's happening in that kind of space?
I think the good news is for us as a Sage reseller, those are capabilities that have been in the products for years. You know, the BI views, where data warehouse solutions, whether they're inherent in Sage or there's a preferred partner. For us, it comes back to just how to position that and making sure that the customer understands the value and the use cases. So we try, based on those industries, we try to create a package or a can of utilities that they can use quickly to get up to speed. And then we obviously encourage them to build more as their, awareness and expertise grows. But it's an opportunity with every customer, regardless if they're a new or a mature customer, pushing those boundaries and using the tools that they have, including the BI and the analytics and the reporting and, even being able to connect it to external sources and bind it and report on things that maybe reside outside of the ERP package.
Yeah, a lot of good data is outside of the ERP, outside of accounting. It's non-financial data that we're looking at. Things like how many emails did I send and what's going on with my Google Analytics and what's happening in HubSpot or whatever I'm using. Right. And in order to get the true picture, you got to bring in all that data, and it's all not necessarily easy to get to or structured in a way that you can use it.
Exactly.
So it's time. All right. So what's the impact on clients of the work that you do? So you implement software, and also are clients finding the staff they need to run systems? How are they doing with staffing? And do you all do that? Do you do client accounting services?
We do. So our client accounting services is really to help supplement the skills that they don't have, but not necessarily help them with staffing their own teams. So our advisory services team will help them. We'll even obviously using Sage Intacct as a platform. We'll actually collect and track and record that data for them, prepare financial statements, help prop up the needs that the business has, but just doesn't have the staff for. But we don't necessarily help them with staffing. From an ERP standpoint, we're very careful in the discovery and the qualification, right? That works both ways. The customer is going through this prospect, trying to figure out if we're the right partner and Sage is the right product, and do we have the right expertise to help them take this tool, to a successful go live and realize their goals. But we're going through this process as well, right? Is this the right customer? Can they support the infrastructure? Do they have the right team in place? Do they have the segregation of duties to support the manual operations? Not manual, but you know what I mean. The specific specialty operations that need to happen from order to cash and so forth. Inventory to raw materials to finished goods. So I'd say most of our customers have the functional staff, but very few have the IT staff required to support the infrastructure of these systems. And even outsourcing, even if they're hosting or even with a hosted solution, there's still a technical component here to support the users and the daily activities. And I'd say that's probably an area where a lot of our customers need help and assistance, or need to make some investments.
So what happens if they don't have that skill set? Do you support it, or do you say this, you're gonna have to staff this before we can go any further? Or
a little bit of both. We've said no to clients if they didn't have the team to technically support these projects. But we also do have an IT staff that's dedicated to the databases, the tools that they use, even the hardware that they come to rely on. That again, we can. It's not really designed to be a long-term fix, but a short-term stopgap to get them from point A to point B, with the idea of helping them then identify and train and onboard those resources for their own well-being.
So where are most of your clients coming from? Are they coming off of desktop applications, or what is there all over the map, or what are they on before they get to you?
Yeah, I'd say so for us, the source of our customers, our new customers, are coming from, number one, our internal base that we have. We've been doing this for a long time. We have a lot of legacy systems that aren't designed or architected to be hosted or in the cloud. So we do have customers with server-based software solutions, and they're obviously a large opportunity for us. When they're ready to migrate, we're here to help them with that journey.
Yeah.
And then obviously a secondary market for us is new customers, and those customers are in a replacement strategy. They either have a competitor solution that's become old and archaic or too expensive, or QuickBooks and Sage 50 are great feeder systems for us. As these smaller companies outgrow those applications, they tend to hang on to them way too long. So it's not uncommon for us to come across a $40 million manufacturer using QuickBooks and 10 add-ons, right? So that's a great opportunity for us.
Yeah, you outgrow the complexity, and that was one of the things. So I built the practice in Atlanta around Peachtree after I left. Well, that's how I got to the CPA firm in Atlanta, and I did the consulting on the product, and then I would do the work, the taxes, and the financial stuff, and then I took that to the firm. But it was a great product. It would go pretty deep for a relatively small company, and you see it applied in places where it had no business being used. But once you find something that works and you figure out all the workarounds, especially the accountant who doesn't like change, it's really hard to unplug that thing from those people, even if they're doing stuff that makes absolutely no sense in the long term. But
and I think
some great products out there,
Yeah, and you hit on something, right? It's not just when they outgrow it, but they as they grow, they tend to need more industry specific capabilities instead of general, capabilities. So a nonprofit that now has donor management and fundraising capabilities, or a process manufacturer that now has to manage recipes and allergens. So not only do they outgrow the capabilities, but as they grow, they need more industry specific functionality to support their business.
And I think one of the big things that all of the products that you work with, I'm sure, have is this sort of, it depends on what you call it, but dimensions associated with data. One of the limitations of some of the small business products is you can only, you can assign it an account number and maybe a location or one other field, but you can't really allocate that data across all the buckets that you need to view it through.
Exactly.
And so I know Intact has a lot of different ways to tag and identify and sort and manage data, which is one of the things you do when you get bigger.
Yeah, it is interesting. That was something that was new and newly introduced to Sage Partners with the acquisition of Sage X3, dimensional accounting. We didn't know what it was, so we had to learn. And I know Sage has applied those principles to newer products going forward, but it has definitely changed how we, configure natural accounts and your basic accounting implementation.
What kind of people do you have to hire these days in order to cover all the demands of implementing a mid-market product? I mean, you have to have process knowledge, you've got to have accounting knowledge, you've got to have technology. understanding. You've got to have people skills. Where do you find those magic people? Where do they come from?
Yeah, a lot of our consultants come from private industry. They have a skill set, they have an expertise, they know how to use software, and they have an interest in taking what they know and helping other clients. So almost all of our consultants have either that functional, process manufacturing background, or they've worked with a nonprofit organization, so they understand the structure and what it means to do that on a day-to-day basis. But then they obviously have an affinity for that automation process and helping clients. It is tough though, and it is one of probably our biggest challenges as an organization to identify and develop new talent among our teams, because we're not getting younger, and the pool of resources in the Sage community at least is getting smaller. So we're all fighting for the same resources. If we don't identify and develop new talent, then we're going to be in big trouble here.
Well, it's an issue of the generations are not as big. There are not as many people coming into the workforce as we used to have, and more people exiting. So there just aren't people. And we're seeing that in the accounting space. The AICPA is talking about it all the time, about how the pipeline is a big problem. But especially the more unique skills that you need, the harder that has to be. In accounting, it's not just can you balance a checkbook anymore. It's, all kinds of things you have to understand and know, integrating apps and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And then, AI savvy and all that. Yeah.
No, but I am encouraged. So I've got 2 daughters in college. Both of them are pursuing business degrees. And I think for the first time ever, my junior in college understands what I do and says, that's not a bad thing, Dad. Because they used to think that I just played on the computer and talked on the phone all day. But now that they're learning how to apply accounting, she's even doing some coding in Python and SQL. And she's like, wow, this is what you do is pretty cool, Dad. So there's hope, Jeannie.
I want to work as much as you do. We're going to do anything but that. So
that's a different story, right?
So, you trained yours better than I did, or you, I don't know, or you knew how to manage your life better than I did. Probably is the thing. But it is interesting, and the technology stuff. There's so many ways to apply what you know, and having an ability to be flexible enough to learn whatever comes along is, I think, one of the strengths that we all had to develop. Because everything changed. I mean, I've been doing this way longer than you have, and there's a new operating system, there's a new device, there's a new interface, there's a new tax code law, there's a new everything, and there's just a whole bunch that you have to be aware of. And part of what we have to do to succeed in anything is keep learning. Right. We need to build more time into our day, and that's one of the things about having our conferences, our collaboratives that we put on. We try to bring information in front of people. And it's one of the things people most appreciate about the ITA is that we've got, people like you, Walt, are sharing your secrets with people who are potentially competitors. It's a very unique environment that we have at the ITA, and one of the things that I think people really appreciate. Okay, so now we've got to go really deep and important about what kind of goobery, nerdy talk are you hearing? I got to share one. When you were talking about a data warehouse, I talked to one of our other members, and they kept talking about a data lake, and I had to go, wait a minute, are we swimming in a data lake? What's a lake? What's the difference between a warehouse and a lake?
That's a new one for me. You stumped me. If this is the part of the show where it's, stump the presenter, I'm done. I have no idea. I've never heard of that.
I think it's just a more watery version of the warehouse. I think they just filled it up with water.
I'm going to write that one down.
I know, data lake, and it was Walter Kruer or Thompson that some of these bigger players, and they're talking about, and I think it's just bringing in a whole bunch of external and internal data, where a warehouse is probably your own, internal system data, and the lake is probably I'm bringing in big data from outside and enhancing my own data to create a more viable picture of what's going on. So there, I stumped you. All right.
I think sometimes we create these words and terms just to confuse people or differentiate. I have no idea.
We do. So give me some of your words. What are you hearing people talk about?
I'm on the sales side, so they keep me away from customer engagements and support. I don't get to do all the fun techie stuff, but they call me when we need to dumb something down, and I get called on quite a bit to talk about APIs and try to communicate what that means and how that works to a prospect and a customer. So I know when they bring me in that's my job. My job is to simplify this so that anybody can understand what we're talking about. So APIs, that's the extent. I wish I had something better for you.
Well, even ERP, that doesn't mean anything to anybody anymore. No. We still talk about it. Those of us have been around it a long time because it was such a big thing when it came out, because we went from just accounting to accounting and process and CRM and other stuff. So we came up with this ERP thing, and nobody.
I would even say it works against us because it sounds pretty bulky and overwhelming and disruptive, right?
It sounds inflated. It sounds like we're trying to make it sound more expensive than it should be.
Right.
It's kind of like when you order food from a menu in Napa Valley and you find freshly dug carrots for $15 on the menu. Wow. And it's like, okay. Didn't know I need to look for how recently were these carrots dug.
What is the alternative to a freshly dug carrot? I'm not.
4-week-old carrots have been sitting on the back room for a while, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I want to know.
Kind of scary. Me too. I don't want to know either.
That's the kind of stuff that cracks me up out here. There's always something like that where really, do I really have to know how freshly dug something was?
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of talk about AI. So are you seeing that in your world at all? Is it affecting what you're doing or what you're selling or how you work?
It's hard to say. I know, we've taken a different stance with it at RKL. So we're encouraging our team to use it, but we're also creating a controlled environment for them to do so. As you can imagine, as accountants, we've got to be careful how we use it and what customer data we upload into it and what questions we're asking of it, and then the answers that we get and how we position that. So as an organization, I know we've created a safe environment, our own AI tool for the team to navigate. The customers, I think, are still curious, but they're really more curious about what it means to them. How is it going to impact what they're doing? And we've been, Sage has been really good and very methodical in their communication and their approach. So we're really lucky to have somebody like Aaron Harris driving the ship and communicating, not just within Sage, but just externally as well about AI and how it's impacting the accounting world. Yeah. But we're slowly kind of adopting things like, looking for error detection and resolution and even Copilot and chatbots within the software to help navigate and find information.
We could just improve the caliber of help in some of these applications using AI would be a huge thing. Yeah. And also auto coding things. I mean, in the small business world, we have this amazing auto coder that just makes up stuff half the time. And you train it because you recode every month and it still picks up some random weird assignment. So, I mean, there's potential there for sure, but it's got a long way to go. The people training the devices need to be smarter, I think.
Yeah, agreed. So it's hard to say how it's impacting, and a lot of curiosity, but I think this is something that we'll continue to see kind of a controlled release in the software tools that they're using.
Yeah, I think they're managing it, and I think I think it's going relatively quickly in terms of development and evolution, and I think there's way more ahead than what we can even imagine.
Right.
So is there anything else that you would like to share that you want us to know about that's going on in your world? I think we're thrilled that you're helping create the future workforce with your children. That's good news for everybody.
Yeah. I don't think 2 is going to make that much of a difference. Hopefully, that's my succession plan. I don't know about yours.
I don't have one. Right. So just to start wrapping us up here, if other folks want to be part of iTalk Tech, it's open to our members of the ITA. We have, as I said, multiple members in multiple different seats, and we try to rotate through. So we'll have a different member category come in next month. It's at this time and around this same time every month. So you're welcome to tune in if you want to hear about what's going on from different perspectives. You can email me, or you can go and sign up on the site that's indicated. With that, Walt, it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see you, to hang out with you, to learn from you. And I thank you for sharing your time and your energy, and for all the work that you do on behalf of the ITA. It's you make a huge, tremendous contribution, and you've only been on the board a short while, but already had a very positive impact. So thank you for that. And
I appreciate that. Thank you, Jeannie,
for joining us today.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you. Thank you so much. I got to take a little break from work. It's 4:30 here. Maybe I should just shut down and call it a day. Tell. All right.
I won't tell. So
unfortunately, this is live. So can you keep it open for 20 more minutes? And
okay, we can sit here and talk. So bear with me. I'm gonna say goodbye to our followers, and then we'll wind up here. So hang on.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Walt.